Hello and welcome to episode 5 of the Finding New Owners podcast. My name is Tom Momenee, your favorite realtor. And today I have the pleasure of meeting with and talking with Tony Fox of MVM Moving and Storage. Thank you for joining me, Tony. Why don't you go ahead and lead off MVM Moving and Storage? What's it all about? How'd you get it started?
Tom, thanks a lot for having me. First of all, I really appreciate it. Appreciate your time. So yeah, we started about 20 years ago, in Toledo, Ohio, and we're a small local moving company, but we do a lot of big things. We have 4 locations and actually acquiring our 5th location in Florida right now. We're going through that process right now. Um, and we do commercial, mainly residential, but a lot of commercial moving. And we local and long distance. So we go all over the continental United States, and we do everything from going in your house and moving one piece of furniture to going in and packing everything up, moving it across country and unpacking it. So everything in between.
Okay, and what really drove you to start it? You said 20 years ago, right?
Yeah, 20 years ago. It just happened. There wasn't a whole lot of thought involved into it. Honestly, I was young and dumb, a little naive. Oh, a buddy and I wanted to start a company, and one of his cousin worked for a moving company and got me a job there. And I said, "Hey, we can do this." And then we did it. And that was like maybe 22 years ago. And then that partnership didn't work out. But, a couple years after that partnership, I started MVM Moving and been doing it ever since.
What would you say was the biggest struggle or challenge to get things off the ground and expand to where you're at today?
Uh, that would be, I think, pulling myself off of the actual cruise, like pulling myself off of the job site. I had a lot of vested interest in every job because I would go out to the estimate. I would see everything there. I would estimate it and like know how I would perform the job or how I would accomplish it. And it was a big leap or a big struggle for me to go from like being on the job and making sure it goes good to trusting other guys to making sure it would go good and have the same quality that I would have. So that to me was the biggest change in the company. And when I did that, yielded the biggest, I guess ROI of my time and everything of getting off the cruise. I was on a few moves and, the very successful people, and they started questioning me. And the theme in the questioning was, the theme was, hey, why are you still working on these jobs? You have to pull yourself out of the business, and start working on it and not in it. And now, after I was told that maybe 5 times by very successful people, I'm like, all right, there's probably something to that. Uh, so yeah, I found a few good guys. One in particular, the second guy in charge here, Ben Hunefeld, he came on board and he kind of was the catalyst too for like giving me the confidence to kind of or step back, I guess, out of the field and into the office. So that was probably the biggest hurdle in my opinion.
Okay. Yeah, and I totally get it. Aside from real estate, I also own a photo booth rental company. And
Okay.
sometimes it's hard to be the owner, be removed, and know and trust that your employees are going to do just as good as you would and, put in that effort. So I totally get that. And really, I'm going to I know it's a little further down in our questions, but I guess that brings me to what kind of training is there to ensure that everyone's getting the same service? So I'll even mention you guys moved us 3 years ago, and we have you scheduled again here in about a month and a half for another move. And the service was fantastic. The two guys, "Hey, what do you want us to do?" And we started to help because that's our nature to help. And both of them are like, "No, you're paying us to be here. You just step back and tell us what needs to be done." And that was it was a nice breath of fresh air. And I said, I will never go back to not moving with a company again
Yeah, sure.
because it was nice to just sit back and be able to, hey, they got this. So I guess, what kind of training or what really sets you apart that makes sure everybody gets that type of service?
Yeah. So in the moving industry, consistency is pretty tough. It really is. Consistency between crews. I mean, you have different levels of workers, you have different jobs, you have other things that are tough that you can't control, like the weather and just the type of customers. You're in a lot of stressful situations, divorces, just a lot of stuff like that. So consistency in crews is very tough. But, over the years, we have developed a very robust training process that the guys come in. Obviously we interview the guys, we put them through a background check, make sure everybody passes that. Then when they pass that, they can come in and, they get an orientation, what to expect on the job. When you come and work for a moving company like ours, you really don't understand what that entails if you've never been a mover. So we set them down and say, hey, this is what you can expect. This is what you should bring to work. This is what this is what we do on a day-to-day basis. This is what to look for. And then what we have is we have someone in charge. His name is Jeff Treadway, in charge of training. He oversees everybody and how they're doing. You know, just making sure that everyone's keeping up with our protocols that we put in place and what to do at every job when you get there, just to ensure consistency as much as possible. On top of that, we have once the guys are there and they get acclimated to the job, and we know that they're good for the job, then we pull them in. We pull them in, and once a month we do a very large training. And we pull guys from every location. Probably not going to pull them from Florida, but we pull them from every location to Toledo, to our main warehouse, so they can get a bigger idea of the business as a whole. And we can have like our managers there to help more hands-on, in-depth training. And that's where we go through what you've learned in the job so far. Okay. And then we really refine that. All the wrapping techniques, the packing techniques, loading the truck, all that kind of stuff is refined. And then we have at the locations, we have an infield training. We have an infield trainer and we have an infield supervisor, kind of the same position. And so what they do is they have a little more responsibility. So when the guys are newer, they get sent out with the newer guys to ensure that, one, they can do the job, and two, they're a good fit for the company. We're a good fit for them and they're a good fit for us. And then they kind of report back and then make sure that they're being trained correctly. So that kind of ensures that they're not just thrown with any crew and getting told what to do by a bunch of different guys. They're getting put with specific guys, and that specific guy says, hey, no matter what any of these guys say, this is the way that we do it at MVM. And like, hey, this is how it's done. So yeah, that's how we do the training. And then it's always ongoing and growing, just the training as we get a little bit bigger and we do more moves. We're constantly learning and adapting. Um, learning and adapting out there as we can do. So that's kind of always changing, but we try to stay on top of it as much as possible with the training. It's very, very important because a lot of moving companies just kind of, you know, and I'm not saying I used to do this because I didn't have this training in place, throw guys in a truck and say, hey, do your best, and hope that the crew leader would like take care of it. So I'm glad we're at the point now where we can do this.
That's awesome. And I know it's Mommy Valley Moving and Storage. How many storage locations you guys have? What does that look like?
So our storage is more of a warehouse style storage. There's what they call their wooden crates called vaults, and we acquired a company in Fremont, Ohio, a couple years ago, and that's where we do our vault storage in the area. We used to do it in Columbus, but we moved facilities, so we don't do it there anymore. We're going to do that in the near future, but we do have that in Fremont, and then we also have in Florida. The company we're acquiring does have storage down there, the same situation. And then in Toledo, we have a very good relationship with Lock It Up, the storage company. Lock It Up. So we work with them hand in hand, and take our customers to their locations, and they give them a discount and everything when we can get them there. So that's a good relationship we've built with them for the Toledo area.
That's awesome. Yeah. I know you're kind of talking about the process there, even what the employees are going through and the training they have. What can somebody expect when they call you up and go, "Hey, I want to move on such and such date"? What does that look like for the customer coming through the process?
Yeah. So everybody when they call, we have a sales team. Downtown Toledo, we have an office, and that's where it houses our sales team, and they answer the phone for all the locations. Okay. When you call in, you'll talk to a sales guy, or we like to call them move coordinators. That's their title. And when customer calls in, they'll get a move coordinator, and we try that move coordinator you call. We try to have that person stick with you for the duration of that for your move. They will of course go through what we do, how we do it, how we charge, what type of estimate you'll get, what you're looking at, send you the estimate, of course, and then answer any questions and everything like that. And then if you need any follow-up phone calls, or you need to call and ask any questions, they're kind of the one-stop shop for you where they try to take care of you, until move day. So that's what that kind of looks like. You're not going to call in and get an operator, you can say, hey, is John available? Yes, he is. Or if he's not, he's going to call you right back. So it's that simple.
Yeah. I know even just scheduling the one that we have in about a month and a half, I was surprised. I was waiting for, oh, we're going to have to schedule someone to come out, look at the house, see everything. And he goes, oh, no, I'll send you a link. You can just take a video of your house and we can estimate it from there. And it just made it super easy, quick. I wasn't worried about when am I going to have time to have someone come look at it. Uh, when did you guys start doing that video? Because that, at least not to my knowledge, I don't think we did that 3 years ago.
Yeah, no, that's kind of a newer technology that just came on the market a couple years ago, and it's really getting more popular within the past year. The program we use is called Live Switch, which this gives us that ability to kind of utilize that correctly. But after COVID and during COVID, I think it was kind of like the big catalyst for that because a lot of people didn't want you in the house necessarily. So that a lot of companies got on that, and we started doing a lot more virtual estimates, and it's kind of caught on. And there is a learning curve there. It is different doing those, so you have to be careful. But when we are confident we can get a good estimate, we will do those. And it's really good for people that work out of town. It's really good for, a lot of situations like that to where scheduling or getting in there at a specific time is very hard. We use that a lot. Not to mention when it's far away, just to save everyone's time and, just efficiency and utilization of resources, you know, just makes a lot of sense. So, but that's it's becoming a lot more popular, and we do like that feature a lot.
Probably saves you some money and time as well for people going out to houses. So I'm sure that's
It
a big
does.
saving.
It does. Yeah, you do. Like I said, though, you do have to be careful. A lot of companies are going to that exclusively, and that's not really good either because, some situations, even when we do these virtuals, we take a peek at it, and a lot of times we determine like, hey, we've saw it, we've seen it, we have an idea of what it's going to take, but to get you a realistic expectation for this move and the cost, we really need to come out there and see it in person. So that is that's it. That's on us, and that is our job because that's a lot of those times you just can't get a good feel for the move and what it's actually going to cost until you go out there. Specifically, for like long distance moves and everything, you want to make sure you know what you're doing and it's all going to fit in the truck. Or it's different than going from Toledo to Defiance or Holland to Defiance. Like if you have to make a second trip, then it is what it is. We can get that done. But you go into Florida or something, that's not so easy. So we still do a lot of a lot of in-home estimating, and if the virtual doesn't cut it, they're free, so we go out there all the time and still do it.
I guess too, you have to have the flexibility because, like you said, each thing's different. I know for us, even I don't remember the guy's name I was talking to, but I know even he said he goes because you guys had the notes from 3 years ago. He's like, did you buy a lot of stuff? Did you add a bunch of things in the last 3 years? Did you get rid of stuff? And so it was, I'm sure, easy to go, okay, this is what we did last time, compare it to what the video showed, and then be able to get it from there. So having our information from years ago is probably super helpful. I guess I want to ask too, I know you guys all over the country. Um, do you get a lot of calls for people moving to Northwest Ohio? So, like, let's say someone's moving from California, uh, obviously virtual, but what if virtual's not enough? Is somebody flying to California? Are you calling another moving company to kind of estimate for you, or what does that look like?
Yeah, so a lot of times what you would do is you would hire a third party, like another moving company, and pay them to go out and do the estimate for you if you were really that confident you were going to get the work. But a lot of times when we get those loads coming from like, let's say out west or Florida or even the Carolinas are huge. A lot of people, if they move from this area, a lot of them move back. They might not like it, their work might bring them back, or just a lot of different reasons. So when they use us and had a good experience to move down there, that's when they'll call us and say, hey, can you bring me back? So what's cool is like you just mentioned, we'll have some information on what it took to get them down there. Um, and then a lot of times though, like if we do get an organic lead from somebody moving like from Florida to Toledo, and they say, hey, they just Google it and they see us in Toledo, we have good reviews, and they call us. A lot of times, if they don't have that many items, or if we're very confident, we can easily do a virtual, and like put the stamp of approval on it, like, hey, this is fine, we're going to be within the estimate, and we're going to fit in the truck. So we do both those methods.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
No, that makes sense, and just had me thinking, like, man, somebody from far away. But obviously, as you expand, I know you're looking at Florida is next. You said any other big plans, any directions you want to move or add, expand to?
Uh, I think the next one might be in the Carolinas. We go to the Carolinas a lot, both north and south. It's just a good. I think a lot of people go to Florida, and for whatever reason they don't like it, hurricanes, just overall the weather in the summer, bugs, whatever it might be, and they try to split the difference. And a lot of them go to the Carolinas, and then a lot of the work that we do is to the Carolinas. This is a very popular area, so it would kind of just make sense if we do acquire this Florida company that having one not exactly in the middle, but kind of in the middle would, locationally would be a very good move for us. Um, and then in one of the location we're trying to get is somewhere maybe around the Detroit area. There's a lot of really good areas around there, and kind of the thought in mind there is Toledo's kind of the middle, it's kind of the hub, and then we have our locations would surround us. One up there, we can we can service the Michigan market there. A lot of interstate work there, and then we have Fort Wayne, Indiana to the west, Columbus to the south, Fremont to the east, and then Toledo right in the middle. And then of course the Michigan one will be north.
Yeah. No, Carolina sounds like a logical next step, and so that's cool. Uh, before I have two last questions that I ask everybody, and I know I kind of shared those with you, but before we jump to that, what's your website, social media? Where can people find you?
Yeah, I mean we're on Facebook. MVM Moving. We have one for each location, so we're on Facebook there. MVM Moving and Storage, and the website mvmmoving.com. It's that simple. And go on there, and you can even do a live chat. You can do a live chat if you want any information or want an estimate, and then you can meet our team there, see all about the company and different programs we have. So full of information there.
Anything else you want to add that people need to know about MVM?
Just basically that, I think what sets us apart from a lot of companies is just our dedication to service and the staff we have. We have a very, very good staff of very knowledgeable people that really care. And, moving is not a perfect industry. Damages happen. A lot of stuff happens, and we do our best to really go above and beyond when something happens and try to make every single person happy and give you a good experience. We found that moving is a very stressful time in people's lives, and we try to make that as easy of an experience and as good of an experience as possible.
I second that. Yeah, I've experienced it. I know myself. That's part of why I got into real estate. It's because it is one of the most stressful times for people, and selling, buying, and then the moving process. So, like I said, I got just a couple more questions. I asked these to everybody to kind of wrap up the show. And this first one is tell us something crazy. Can be real estate or moving related, or just something funny you want to share. But what's something crazy you've seen in the industry?
Oh man. I think the craziest thing would be just the different people I've met. We've been open for 20 years now. We have 4 locations. There is a lot of come and go with the moving industry. We try to have good retainment, but at the end of the day, like a lot of people work for the company, then they leave. And I've had a lot of different characters work for the company, and I've met a lot of really good friends too. It's just had a lot of really good people from all walks of life, and so that's probably the craziest thing is just all the different people that I've worked with and all the situations I've put in. And then I guess another crazy thing is my son, he's only 19 years old. He's an infield trainer and supervisor, and he works for the company and looking to maybe walk in my footsteps one day. So like, yeah, you might not think I have a 19-year-old that's running crews, but I do. He's out there in Toledo, kicking butt.
I love that. And I know even I have a 7 and a 5-year-old, and I've had the 7-year-old recently. He's like, Dad, I want to sell houses like you when I get older. I would love that. Now, I want him to do whatever he wants, as I'm sure you do as a dad, but that would be absolutely amazing that, one day he's 19 and getting his license and out there showing houses. So I would love that. And then lastly, if money and location were not a factor, where would your dream home be? What would it look like?
Um, I think that living in one specific place is kind of hard for me. I'm kind of a warm weather guy. I like all 4 seasons. I love cold weather, and I'm a big ice fisherman and hunter. And I love hot weather. I like my shirt off and flip flops on and being on a boat. So I guess if I had my pick and money wasn't an option, I'd have 2 houses. I'd have one up here. I like this area for Lake Erie. And fishing here is awesome, and just the islands and everything. I love the area, so I love this for like 6 months a year, and then maybe 7, and then maybe the Florida Keys or Bahamas. Have a house there, have a boat there, and that way I can go down there, relax in the sun, and fish. So that would be my dream situation.
I'm with you on the wanting to move. My dream is to live in the camper full time and travel.
Cool.
Although my wife said she goes, I will agree to it with one caveat, which is we have a home base in Northwest Ohio. Come back and see family. Decompress, get out of the camper. You can't live in that small space all the time. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think there's a combination there. So I totally get it. Ever been to the Bahamas?
I have. Yeah. It was awesome.
Yeah, nice, nice. It's on my bucket list. So one of these days. But yeah, I really want to thank you for your time. I do appreciate it so much. I speak well of you guys because you do a fantastic job. I really appreciated it 3 years ago. So if you're looking in Northwest Ohio for a realtor, looking to buy or sell, You want to look me up, your favorite realtor Ohio, on all the social media channels. Of course, go look up MVM Moving and Storage. They're going to help you out. And if you know someone that I need to interview, leave it in the comments or email me at findingnewownerspodcast@gmail.com. Look forward to the next one. We'll see you guys later.